Nneka stood in the village square, her heart pounding as she faced the elders. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the weight of her past. She had shared her story, baring her soul to the villagers, but their reactions were mixed. Some looked at her with sympathy, while others whispered among themselves, their faces marked with judgment. "Nneka," an elder called out, stepping forward. It was Mama Chinyere, known for her wisdom and fairness. "You have confessed your past, and we have heard you, but now you must prove your commitment to change." Nneka nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "I will do whatever it takes to earn back the trust of my family and my village," she declared. Mama Chinyere looked at her with a mixture of pity and respect. "You must start by working honestly and supporting your children. We will be watching you, Nneka. Your actions must speak louder than your words." The crowd began to disperse, but the murmurs of gossip continued. Nneka felt a mix of relief and anxiety. She had taken the first step, but the journey ahead was long and uncertain. Back at her parents' home, Nneka found comfort in the presence of her children. Chika and Ifeanyi were her strength, their innocent faces reminding her of what truly mattered. She knew she had to be strong for them, to show them that mistakes could be overcome with hard work and honesty. As night fell, Nneka sat outside, gazing at the stars. She thought about Obi and the pain she had caused him. She wondered if he would ever find it in his heart to forgive her. She knew she couldn't dwell on that now. She had to focus on rebuilding her life. The next morning, Nneka rose early and went to the market. She set up a small stall selling fruits and vegetables. It was a humble start, but it was honest work. The villagers watched her with wary eyes, but she held her head high, determined to prove herself. Days turned into weeks, and Nneka worked tirelessly. Despite her efforts, the gossip and rumors about her past still lingered. People were hesitant to buy from her stall, and she could feel their judgment in their eyes. The weight of her past mistakes hung over her like a dark cloud, making every day a struggle. One night, Nneka sat with her parents, discussing her struggles. "Mama, Papa, I don't think I can continue like this," she said, her voice trembling. "No one believes I've changed. I'm thinking of moving away, starting fresh where no one knows me." Her parents exchanged worried glances, but nodded. "If that's what you feel is best, Nneka, we support you," her father said. "But remember, running away won't solve everything. You'll need to work hard and stay honest, no matter where you go." With a heavy heart, Nneka made the decision to leave the village. She packed up her belongings and, with her children by her side, moved to a neighboring town where no one knew her past. The transition was difficult. Nneka had to find new work, new friends, and a new place to call home. She started by setting up a small stall in the town market, selling fruits and vegetables as she had before. She also offered her skills as a hairdresser, braiding the hair of the women in the town. Life was tough, but Nneka was determined to make it work. Her children adjusted to their new surroundings, and slowly they began to find their place in the community. One day, as Nneka was walking home from the market, Ifeanyi suddenly collapsed, clutching his stomach in pain. Panic surged through Nneka as she tried to rouse him. "Help! Someone, please help!" she cried out. A young man named Kofi, who was passing by, rushed to their aid. "What's wrong?" he asked urgently. "My son, he's sick. Please, help us get to the hospital," Nneka pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Without hesitation, Kofi lifted Ifeanyi into his car and sped towards the nearest hospital. Nneka held her son's hand, praying silently for his recovery. At the hospital, the doctors quickly attended to Ifeanyi. Nneka paced the waiting room, her heart pounding with fear. Kofi stayed with her, offering words of comfort and support. After what felt like an eternity, the doctor emerged with a reassuring smile. "Your son will be fine, Mrs. Nneka. He had a severe case of food poisoning, but we caught it in time." Nneka's relief was palpable. "Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much." Kofi offered to drive them home, and Nneka gratefully accepted. Over the next few days, he visited regularly, checking on Ifeanyi and bringing them food and supplies. Nneka was deeply touched by Kofi's kindness. She found herself looking forward to his visits, but her past experiences made her wary. She had learned the hard way that trust was not easily given. As Kofi's visits became more frequent, he began to express his interest in Nneka. "I've seen how hard you work and how much you care for your children," he said one day. "I admire your strength and determination." Nneka felt a mix of emotions. She appreciated Kofi's attention, but her past haunted her. She couldn't bear the thought of going through another heartbreak. "Thank you, Kofi," she said gently, "but I need time. I've been hurt before, and I need to be sure." Kofi nodded understandingly. "I respect that, Nneka. Take all the time you need. I'll be here, supporting you." As Nneka and Kofi's friendship grew, life began to stabilize. Nneka's stall in the market started to attract more customers, and her reputation as a skilled hairdresser spread. She felt a sense of accomplishment and hope for the future. One afternoon, as Nneka was walking through the market, she spotted a familiar face. Her heart skipped a beat. It was Obi, her former husband. He was talking to a vendor, unaware of her presence. Nneka's mind raced. What was he doing here? Had he come looking for her? She felt a mix of fear and curiosity. She decided to approach him, her heart pounding in her chest. "Obi?" she called out hesitantly. Obi turned, his eyes widening in surprise. "Nneka, what are you doing here?" "I moved here a few months ago," Nneka explained. "I'm trying to start over, to build a new life for myself and my children." Obi looked at her, his expression unreadable. "I didn't expect to see you here. I'm working on a project in this town for a few months." Nneka felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Seeing Obi again brought back memories of their failed marriage, the pain and the betrayal. But there was also a part of her that felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was a chance to make things right. "I'm glad to see you're doing well," Nneka said softly. "I hope we can move past what happened and find some peace." Obi nodded slowly. "I hope so too, Nneka. It's been a long time, and I've had time to think. Maybe we can talk sometime, clear the air." Nneka agreed, and they exchanged phone numbers. As she walked away, she felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. She knew that facing Obi again would be difficult, but it was a step she needed to take. That evening, Nneka sat with her children, her mind racing with thoughts of Obi. She knew that the road to reconciliation would be long and challenging, but she was determined to face it head-on. The next day, Kofi visited Nneka, bringing her groceries. "You seem preoccupied," he observed. "Is everything okay?" Nneka hesitated, then decided to be honest. "I saw Obi today, my ex-husband. He's in town for work." Kofi's expression was unreadable. "How do you feel about that?" "I don't know," Nneka admitted. "It's complicated. There's a lot of pain and unresolved feelings. But I think we need to talk, to find closure." Kofi nodded. "I understand. Just know that I'm here for you, whatever you decide." Nneka felt a sense of gratitude. She was surrounded by people who cared for her, who supported her in her journey. It gave her the strength to face the challenges ahead. As the days passed, Nneka and Obi arranged to meet. Their conversation was tense but necessary. They spoke about their past, their mistakes, and their hopes for the future. It was a difficult but cathartic experience. Nneka realized that while she couldn't change the past, she could learn from it. She could build a better future for herself and her children, with or without Obi's forgiveness. With Kofi by her side, Nneka felt a sense of hope and determination. She knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but she was ready to face them, one step at a time. Nneka and Obi continued to meet over the next few weeks. Each conversation brought up old wounds, but also started the healing process. They talked about their past, their mistakes, and how to move forward. While it was painful, Nneka felt a sense of relief each time they spoke. She was finally facing her past and taking steps to make things right. One evening, after a particularly emotional conversation with Obi, Nneka walked home feeling exhausted but hopeful. When she reached home, Kofi was waiting outside with a gentle smile. "How did it go?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "It was hard," Nneka admitted, "but necessary. We're making progress, but it's slow." Kofi nodded. "Healing takes time. I'm proud of you for facing this." Nneka felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you, Kofi. You've been so supportive. I don't know what I would have done without you." Kofi smiled. "You would have found a way. You're stronger than you think, Nneka." Weeks turned into months, and life began to settle into a new normal for Nneka. She balanced her work at the market, her hairdressing business, and her time with her children. Obi continued to be a part of their lives, slowly rebuilding trust and a new kind of relationship. One sunny afternoon, as Nneka was braiding a customer's hair, Kofi arrived at her stall with a bouquet of flowers. "For you," he said with a smile, handing them to her. Nneka blushed and accepted the flowers. "They're beautiful. Thank you, Kofi." Kofi looked around at the bustling market and then back at Nneka. "Can we talk?" he asked, his tone serious. Nneka nodded and finished up with her customer. They walked to a quiet spot under a large tree, away from the noise of the market. Kofi took a deep breath and looked into Nneka's eyes. "Nneka, I've been thinking a lot about us. I've seen how strong and resilient you are. You're an amazing mother and a hard worker. I admire you more than words can say." Nneka felt her heart pound in her chest. She could sense where this conversation was headed, and she wasn't sure how to feel. Kofi continued, "I know you've been hurt in the past, and I respect that you need time, but I want you to know that I'm here for you and I care about you deeply. Nneka, will you give me a chance to prove my love to you? Will you consider building a future with me?" Nneka's mind raced. She thought about her journey, her children, and the kindness Kofi had shown her. She also thought about Obi and their efforts to mend the past. She felt torn, but knew she had to follow her heart. Kofi continued, "I know you've been hurt in the past, and I respect that you need time. But I want you to know that I'm here for you, and I care about you deeply. Nneka, will you give me a chance to prove my love to you? Will you consider building a future with me?" "Kofi," she began, her voice trembling, "I care about you too. You've been a pillar of support for me, but this is a lot to take in. I need some time to think about it. I hope you understand." Kofi nodded, his expression soft. "I understand, Nneka. Take all the time you need. I'll be here waiting." One evening, after putting the children to bed, Nneka sat on her porch, lost in thought. The stars twinkled above, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. She thought about her journey from the village to this new town, the challenges she had faced, and the strength she had found within herself. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. She opened it to find Obi standing there, looking troubled. "Can we talk?" he asked. Nneka nodded and invited him in. They sat down, and Obi took a deep breath. "Nneka, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I see the effort you're making to rebuild your life, and I respect that. But seeing you with Kofi, it made me realize that I still have feelings for you. I don't know if we can ever go back to what we had, but I wanted to be honest with you." Nneka felt a wave of emotions crash over her. "Obi, I care about you too, but so much has happened. I'm trying to move forward and do what's best for my children." Obi nodded slowly. "I understand. I just needed you to know how I feel." They sat in silence for a while, the weight of their shared past hanging between them. Finally, Nneka spoke. "Obi, I think we both need to focus on healing and building a better future. Whether that future includes us being together, I don't know, but I appreciate your honesty." Obi nodded again, his expression sad but resigned. "I wish you all the best, Nneka. I really do." As Obi left, Nneka felt a sense of closure. She had faced her past and was now ready to make a decision about her future. The next day, Nneka met Kofi at their usual spot under the tree. She took a deep breath and looked into his eyes. "Kofi, I've made my decision. You've been patient, kind, and supportive. I want to give us a chance. Let's build a future together." Kofi's face lit up with joy. "Nneka, you have no idea how happy that makes me. I promise to always be there for you and your children." As they embraced, Nneka felt a sense of peace and hope for the future. She had faced her past, made amends, and was now ready to embrace a new chapter in her life with Kofi by her side. Life with Kofi brought a new sense of stability and joy to Nneka's life. He treated her children as his own, and together they built a loving home. Nneka's business flourished, and she became a respected member of the community. One sunny afternoon, as Nneka and Kofi watched their children play in the yard, Kofi turned to her with a smile. "Nneka, I know we've been through a lot, but I believe our best days are ahead of us." Nneka smiled back, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I believe that too, Kofi. Thank you for being my rock." As they watched the children laugh and play, Nneka knew that she had made the right choice. Her journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also brought her strength, love, and a new beginning. And so, with her past behind her and her future bright, Nneka embraced the new chapter in her life, ready to face whatever came her way, with the love and support of her family by her side. Part 2 of Nneka's story teaches us that being honest and working hard can help fix past mistakes. Even if people gossip or judge you, showing that you've changed can earn their respect over time. It's important to keep trying, even when things are tough. The story also shows that having kind people, like Kofi, who support you can make a big difference. Lastly, it reminds us that starting over is possible, and that with patience and effort, we can build a better future. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more interesting African folk tales. Thank you.